Please, a round of applause for Leye and Ondjaki.
Can I? Please. Kalaf, should I? Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Leye, he's Ondjaki. Actually, it's the other way around. I'm Ondjaki. Leye, I was told that we are here to talk about many things, amongst other things, you know. I want to do a tiny play here. I will tell you 3 words, and you will tell briefly something that you feel about those words, and you can just choose 3 after that. So the first one would be love.
Is a lie.
Africa.
Is the future.
Literature.
Is essential.
It's your turn.
My turn. Okay. Money.
Oh, bullshit.
Drugs.
You gotta be careful.
Sex.
Oh, I think all the cultures recommend sex, you know, in a balanced way, in a respectful way towards everyone. I think it's important. It's one of the important things for your health, as exercising and all stuff.
Yeah, but I wasn't referring to the act of making love. I was talking about gender, but now we know what's on your mind.
Yes, now you know, now you know. It's a Friday, so it's usually... what are you writing right now? What are you preparing to write?
What am I preparing to write? So I'm writing the 4th book in my thriller series. Or rather, I should be. What I'm doing right now is not writing. You know, like all authors, you just forget to do the work itself. Okay. What are you writing now?
I'm the truth or?
The truth.
The truth. I'm writing, no, this is true. I wrote this short story, which I don't know exactly what it is. It's a story in 9 moments, like haikus, like tiny poems in nine moments. And the other day I was asked to write something else, and I was reviewing those 9 haikus, and I transformed them into 15 haikus, just changing the words. And that's the last 2 things I did. And the last one was yesterday when I was flying in the airplane.
Okay. So, yeah, I remember this. I remember you're the one author I know who writes when he's flying.
I need that space.
You need it. So I think we're meant to talk about, there's a topic.
Yes, yes. We will get there.
Yes.
Please.
And I'm just feeling bad for the people who might have been deceived into coming to watch this.
Okay.
Because they want to hear about what we're meant to be talking about.
Yes.
And it's something to do with fame.
Yes.
And do you feel like I do, like a fraud? Why am I sitting here talking about fame when there's not one person here who knows me?
Exactly. I think, well, in my world, and by world I mean the cultural world where I circulate, Angola, the Portuguese language world, Brazil, Portugal, I think there is a tiny confusion between our work, what we're doing, and you know, sometimes you get a prize, and even in our home country, people sometimes ask you, so now you are famous? And I said, I hope not now or then. You may win a prize, people talk about it, and it's that. It should stay there. So I think the word fame, I don't think it would apply to us. I mean, maybe Chimamanda, Paulo Coelho, those famous guys, no? Yeah. What do you feel?
Yeah, I agree with you, because I really truthfully feel like a fraud talking about fame. And I wouldn't know where to start talking about fame. So, yeah.
And he's famous. That's the thing, you know. That's very beautiful what he's saying, because he's famous.
Yeah, you all don't know it, but back in my street, everybody knows me.
Exactly. Me too. Only half, no, my street and one more. Like the 3rd street, they don't know me anymore.
Nah, they know me well.
No, I have a story about famous, which is now kind of a story. which is, my grandmother, when she was old, by old I mean old, my grandmother was born in 1915. So she just passed away with 105. So when she was like 98, 99, I published this book, which is called Grandma 19 and the Soviet Secret, which is her. She's Grandma 19. But she was quite old and not so old because she likes to drink. She liked to drink a lot of wine and whiskey, and that she knew the time to go and eat and drink. So we took her to the book launch of this book. So at a certain moment, the publisher said, and this Grandma 19, she's here with us. She was sitting there with my parents. Please, let's give her a hand of applause. And everyone started clapping. And she didn't know why. And my mother, my mother tells her, mother, stand up because they're, and she stands like that, and in the end, she asks me, so why were they clapping, for me? And I said, grandmother, it's just because they like you, So sometimes it's interesting that you are famous, and that's beautiful. No, you don't know you're famous. I think that's the only way it should happen, or if you do something when you are famous. If you do something.
Well, I know I am not famous. So that said,
Leye, don't lie, please.
that said,
Leye, there is also a subtitle on this panel that says, being famous, literature and responsibility. So you can rely just on the other.
Responsibility.
That's a good one. Literature and responsibility. I write in the most important genre there is, crime fiction. I hear you laughing. I'm hoping that is because you agree with me. Thank you. Because, crime fiction, fiction, not friction, is the one genre that actually holds a mirror
friction
to society. And so I'm hoping that one day I will achieve the fame, which is possible if everybody here should buy like a copy of my book and tell somebody else to buy a copy of my book.
Begin that process, no? Or making you famous.
We start getting there. However, the way to get there is for people to know about our books. So, Ondjaki, tell me about your book, the one that is up there, that people can come and get a signature from you for.
Thank you. The book, in Portuguese, it's called Sonhos Azuis pelas Esquinas. I don't know the title in German. I really don't. I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. But, it's there. It's a bilingual edition, very beautiful. I haven't seen it physically. I've seen it in the web. I like it very much because it's 20 short stories, and each short story has the name of a city, like Nairobi, Ouagadougou. I actually don't have Berlin. I have Buenos Aires and stuff like that. Most of it I didn't visit. I don't know those cities, most of it. And sometimes I find people from those cities and they said, you know my city quite well. Have you been there? And sometimes I lie and I say yes, and sometimes I lie and I say yes, I've been there. But that's the book. The responsibility part, just to make the check on this round table. No, I think, sometimes with some books and some stories, people ask, so this book, a particular one, is a tiny or a little bit political. You're trying to do this. Are you trying to say something with the book? And I said, listen, I think when we write a book, we are trying to say something. Not necessarily a political message, not necessarily an ideological message, but I think you're trying to say something, and you are always, by writing, trying to say something, even if it's poetry, even if it's theater. Sometimes it meets an ideological or a political way, and sometimes it doesn't. How do you feel about that? When you write your fiction specifically, do you have something in mind? What do you want to transmit? Your feelings, your way of writing?
Yeah, I always, there's always something on my mind that precedes anything I've written, be it crime fiction, short stories, or sci-fi. And the thought on my mind is always, is this the book that's going to make me rich? And people ask you what inspires you, and the truth is, it's money. Why do you write? For money. What advice do you have for aspiring writers, don't write, buy my book, and
And
so
are you being serious? They need to know, are you being serious right now?
dead ass. So yeah, the responsibility part of it. But seriously, if you're writing crime fiction, right, the best genre in the world, in all of history, you are basically
And beyond.
writing, and yeah, totally. You're basically writing. Every crime is a product of the society you're writing in, right? It's a reflection of what's going on in the society. So there's no way you can write crime fiction without it being a critique of the bad governance that's led to that, social, class struggles or whatever that's created the environment for the crime. For instance, my latest book, which I'm hoping is up there so you can buy it, When Trouble Sleeps. It's you can think of it as a police procedural, not really. Is it a political thriller? I wanted to write about police brutality.
Okay.
I wanted to write about thieving politicians. I wanted to write about bribery and at the highest levels of government. But I am not American,
Okay.
which would have been the perfect place to set it. So I wrote it and I set it in Nigeria. And here's the thing. Even though the crime is recognizable, or the kind of crime I depict, they are recognizable in any country, they take on a specific nuance when it's in Nigeria. You give a bribe in a specific way. You, as a policeman, no, policewoman, as a police officer, you investigate a crime in a specific way. Your attitude towards the crime is it's informed by everything around you. And what I particularly like about characters, Nigerian characters that you use, African characters, is that you can play with morality. There's no perfectly good person or bad person.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Like
I enjoy
humankind
that.
in general.
Like people, like almost everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you were saying that when they investigate, they do investigate? Because in Angola sometimes they uninvestigate. So it's like, I remember this story about, how do you call that, fiscal, the one who goes to a place and, he sees if everything is okay. So sometimes it happens that people go, if it's a business, whatever you have, they go there to check if everything is okay. And they go there, the first question is, oh, are you responsible for this business? Yes, I am. Do you have a license? And you say something like, oh, no, I don't have a license. Is that a problem? And they say, no, it's not a problem. So can you help me to get the license? You would ask. And they would say, no, I can help you that no one returns asking for the license. So it's another way of doing things sometimes. I was just saying because you said local procedures. Yeah. But in the end, those local procedures, they will end up talking about human behavior. Do you feel that sometimes editors or the public, they expect from you African characters, African behavior, or can you just write about anything, like in human perspective?
Well, that's interesting because someone once said to me on a panel, someone in the audience asked how it felt to be an African crime writer in this festival. It was a crime writing festival. Exactly. And it was a beautiful question, and I answered them saying to them, have you ever tasted African cupcakes? And they hadn't, so I told them how to make African cupcake. You get all the ingredients for normal cupcake, and then you get an African to bake it. And I wish people would see us as, I hate you're an African writer, the stereotyping that they do to us, unless, right, there's a benefit to it, in which case I'm okay with it. I'm like my characters, I'm neither here nor there, right? But I don't feel a responsibility beyond telling a good story. This is the most amazing thing, right? There's no other profession that, just based on what you do, people assume you're intelligent, you're an intellectual, we should listen to you. All you've bloody done is get drunk, write some words and put them in a fashion that makes it profitable, and that's it. But people come up to you, they hear you're a writer, and this is such an annoying thing. Apologies to other writers who maybe it might be true for you. But people come up to you and they think, they expect of you, they demand of you an intellectually engaging conversation. They want you to comment on social issues,
And
on
sometimes
politics.
it's not the moment, or you're not ready, or you're not.
I'm a bloody writer, you know. I don't. It's like asking a football. Nobody goes up to a footballer and says to the footballer, "Okay,
Exactly.
you know," or a dentist. I mean, come on, or a surgeon. These are people who've had to study a lot, or a lawyer, even a journalist. You know, people shut up in the presence of journalists for other reasons. But for our profession, people walk up to us and they just expect us to have intelligent shit to say. Sorry.
Yeah, there's another phenomena which is, well, at least in Angola, it's very common. Well, several ones, you just mentioned one. The one is that they want to correct your book, which is very nice. It's very beautiful. I mean, you read the book and you said, listen, I enjoyed the book, but I think the character should have done this and that. I said, oh, interesting. And also, that character should not have it. Oh, is it another book? Yes, maybe you should write another book. I said, no, you write another book. I just wrote my book. Now you have those ideas. That's one. The second is beautiful, very boring sometimes, very interesting other times. I have to tell you a story and you will write a great book. My story, you know, and the guy or girl has to sit with you and you listen. Once I had an interesting experience with that. A guy just sat with me in a sort of a bar. Actually, I made a mistake. I was supposed to meet a friend. I thought I was in the right bar, and I was not. So I thought I was waiting for my friend, and my friend was waiting for me in the other bar. Okay. So a guy comes by and says, listen, can you buy me a drink, like a beer? And you know, as a writer, I thought, maybe this is something, right? He starts, he drinks the first one, the second one, and you know, I see the rhythm, he's very into beers, and he says, you know, I'm so sorry, you know, I just need to drink, and if you pay me for beer, not money, if you pay me in beers, I will tell you a hell of a story. And in that moment, it's like a bet. You either accept or you don't. And I did. I said, okay, tell me the story. We started at 7 p.m. and we end up to 4 a.m.
Was it good?
Very good story. Very amazing good story.
Bloody
I wrote a book on that story. But, you know, I paid him, I'm not kidding you, at least 88 beers or whatever, you know, from 7 p.m. and he didn't get drunk. I mean, drunk as in falling. He was a bit drunk, you know. Very professional gentleman in terms of drinking and telling stories. So in that moment, that was good.
That you owe that gentleman a lot of royalty.
Yeah.
And even that is a book in itself.
I'm trying to find him. I
You
can't
should.
find him.
That's a beautiful story. Imagine a story that opens in what you just described, right? There's a writer sitting at a bar. They've wandered into the wrong place. Just when they realize it's the wrong place and they want to go out, someone just plumps themselves next to them and says, I need a beer. And they drink the first and they drink the second, and then they say, if you pay me, if you keep buying me beer,
I will.
I will tell you the most incredible story. Even that is a beautiful opening to a story. Mm-hmm. We should do it.
It's a book already.
Yeah, I'm going to read it.
Take out the we. I did it already. It's called Quantas Madrugadas Tem a Noite. How many dawns the night has. Something like that. Because, you know, it looks like it didn't finish. It was very good. And so, do you have questions or should we keep questioning each other? What's the rule in here? Kalaf, Mr. DJ, what do you think? We go on with this game, ping pong game, or ping pong? It's ping pong. It's like I do a question, he does a question. Question there? Two. Yes.
I was wondering if you feel some kind of frustration when your books do not change society.
He's a.
You know.
Did you listen to the question? He's wondering if we feel frustration when our books do not change society. Mr. Leye.
That is a very good question, sir. And in a lot of book festivals, I keep waiting for someone to ask me a question like that. Because very often they're asking me other questions, like what inspires you? Money. How does it feel being an African writer writing from outside Africa? I can do my research on Google. But nobody has ever asked me, do I feel a frustration that my books have not changed the world? I write what you could think of as feminist literature. My main character is a woman, Amaka. Amaka, I'm just going to try and sell my book for a bit, right? So my main character, Amaka, a lawyer, quits law to run a charity, the Street Samaritans. This charity, this is what she does officially. This charity looks out for street workers, sex workers, looks after them, because in Nigeria, sex work is illegal, which then subjects the women to the worst form of violence against women, including death, murder. So that's what Amaka does officially. Secretly, she keeps a record of all the men in Lagos who use prostitutes. And she does this to keep the women safe. So when a man they've never seen before comes to the red light district to pick them up, they can text the license plate number to Amaka, and then Amaka will check on her phone, on her records, what information she has, if any, on the person.
Including personal taste and
Yep,
personal...
exactly, because she then says to them things like, oh, he likes going with two women, so look for a friend so you're not with a stranger with him. He'll try and slip off the condom, be careful. This is how much you can charge this person, stuff like that. But more importantly, she can tell them, don't go. Because there are people on her records who've picked up women and nobody has seen them again. Think of a country like Nigeria where there's high crime, there's, not high, it's not higher than any place, but where believe in the Judaic religions, right, run side by side with traditional beliefs. But traditional beliefs have been, over many centuries, right, repackaged, not by Africans, into this so-called black magic, which is just a fraud. But sometimes this black magic spells, they desire human sacrifice. And who better than a prostitute that nobody's going to look for because nobody cares about? And Amaka's biggest fear is that one day a girl would turn up dead because she didn't want them. And the series starts there. Now, so I've written the first one, the second one is published. It's published in multiple languages. I've written the third one. I think it's going to be published in November in English, then the year after in maybe German, Spanish, French. But not once has anybody bothered to ask me, Leye, you're trying to change the world with your writing. How do you feel when the world doesn't change? It's very frustrating because imagine if I'd become a best-selling writer and made a lot of money. My world would have changed. And that's the only world that, that matters to me. I feel it is a bit pompous of us writers, especially writers, to feel I'm going to change the world with my writing. Can writing change the world? Absolutely. Look at the Bible. It messed up Africa. Look at Donald Trump. A few tweets, we were waiting for him to tweet the nuclear code. So writing is powerful. But I think it's quite pompous to think that your writing alone can do it. I don't know, some people believe it, but I don't. So I don't feel any frustration. The world is as messed up as it was when I was born today, and apparently it's been messed up for a long time. We all got excited with the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Yeah. But there was a civil rights movement before then. People who do the protest music, which is, actually I think music can save the world, can change the world. But books, it'll take a while. I don't feel any frustration. Maybe you do?
Okay, no, I don't feel frustration in terms of, as you said, I'm not expecting my books to change, make big changes. But that is my own tiny books. But as a whole, as the words, the way I sometimes, of course it's romantic, but sometimes you listen to people saying, oh, I remember that book changed my life. And it's not changed as in, but something happened. And now I'm more trying to think that it's not the big moments, it's the tiny moments. Sometimes you read a poem, you anyone. And you feel something. In that day, maybe you will do something different, something better because of that piece of literature, poem, whatever, music, song, piece of art, painting. So, but frustration, well, no, I do not feel frustration because I'm not expecting that much of a immediate result. There might be results, but not immediately. I don't think so. Let's wait and see. Okay, thank you. Milady? How the doors of fame changes our writing, or if it keeps us away from actually writing. More or less, that's it. Leye.
Why do you do that?
Because I'm supposed to be the moderator of
Okay,
ourselves.
it's like when people say that money doesn't buy you happiness and fame is not real. It's always the rich people that say that. Or the famous people, like, oh, don't believe in this fame thing. I'm still who I am. It's bullshit. Look, I can assure you all, I promise everybody here, if I become rich and famous, I will change as a writer. I will start talking about the esoteric themes in my books. I'll start making up lies about how, yes, I intended to do that, I intended to do this, I'm writing to the moment. I'll become one of those people because why not? I'm famous, I'm rich. No, but on a serious note, I haven't seen that kind of access. I am not famous. So really, I do not know how fame will change me because I'm not famous.
And I think it's important, I mean, we're joking and all, but it's important to, if you're writing and you're talking about writing. I just don't think that you are writing only when you sit and write. You know, we are writing while you feel, while you live, while you're with people. In that sense, in that way of seeing things, what not fame, but what these invitations can promote is that you meet people, places, cities, cultures. You know, that is a thing that for me, I visited some places that maybe almost for sure I wouldn't go there, like East Timor, Macau, Hong Kong. I'm not sure if I would go there with my own money and just go there and do what? I don't know anyone there. If somebody invites me, you go there. Once you're there, you end up writing, you end up meeting other writers, other people, especially other cultures, for a few days sometimes, for a few months. And that, for me, it's very important, the contrast. Not going to Macau thinking that I'm going to meet Angola in Macau. You will never hear me saying, oh, but the food here is not like the food at home. Of course not. I'm in Berlin or I'm in Macau. The food in Angola, it's the food in Angola, no? So I don't go to other places expecting, you know, I expect nothing most of the times, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. The other thing is that you are able to meet other writers like any other persons. Some will be in touch with you and some will not. It's just, you know, bridges, tiny bridges. Some are stronger, some are not.
You know,
I think we have to be careful with the time, but
Yeah.
you do whatever you want with your time. Even Chimamanda, I think she travels a lot.
I have a story about how Chimamanda changed somebody's life. It was in Argentina. This lady came to this event. It was a FIBA. And she came specifically looking for me. Young Argentinian lady. I thought she was a nanny because she had a pram. And in the pram was a little Nigerian kid. She had learned about Chimamanda, read Chimamanda, bought all her books, fallen in love with Nigeria, gone to go and get a job at the Nigerian embassy because of Chimamanda, met a Nigerian man, and there's a child alive today because of Chimamanda. So yeah, we do change people's. Actually, that reminds me, your question and his question about frustration. If you look at the other side of it, they're the joys of writing. Thought that always hits me, right? It doesn't need to be your book, but any book is, for that moment, on that morning train ride to work, they're transported away from their normal lives, from their troubles, from their pains and whatever. And that's a gift you give people, with writing. You give them that solace. You give you give the very hard-working parents, single parents, that time, when the baby's gone to sleep or the children have gone to school or whatever, and they can just pick up a book and just, you're in that world. You're not thinking of your treatments. You're not thinking of anything, of your debt or whatever.
Not even about money.
Not even about money. You're not. You're well, unless you're reading one of those books, How to Become Rich. Okay. Which every book that tells you how to become rich, the last page, right? The last sentence of the last paragraph of the last page should read, and the real success of my life and the real way to make money is by writing this book and getting all you suckers to buy it. Exactly. Like how to make money.
Should have that stamp. We have 3 more minutes now. We're almost in the end. Do you want to? Yes?
I'm sorry that I haven't read your books because they sound so engaging. I really want to read them now. So buy your book just like you asked. But you were talking about this character. I think you said her name is Amaka. Amaka.
You have 20 seconds now.
Amaka is doing a kind of labor where in secret she keeps the names of all these men. And she is doing what is, in my opinion, so I'm not telling you what your book is about. In my opinion, she's doing her own kind of black magic. And this means that in a kind of yin and yang, polarization, equalization way, there's someone else in the world, in that city maybe, who is trying to deactivate her black magic. And I wonder what becomes of that. Or are you working with that? Or is that something that your characters fear, or that maybe even you fear, the reckoning of the magic that Amaka is making?
You have 2 minutes, Leye.
See, it's questions like that is giving away the fact he thinks this man must be very intelligent. See how he constructed the question. Yes, the city itself is the main villain. It's Lagos itself that is continuous through all the books, is a main character, and that's the character that's trying to beat her down. There's also everything. There's a theory of, it's called weathering, of the impact of racism on Black Americans. It actually ages them. There's an impact of patriarchy on every woman. There's a specific impact of patriarchy on a Black woman. The intersectionality of everything. In Nigeria, young Black woman in Nigeria, it's as if the world itself is trying to break your magic, not just a single character. But because it's a crime thriller, in each one of the books, we have the bad guys. We have Amadi, we have, there's lots of them. I don't want to give them away. Buy the book and you'll find them. But Amaka is kick-ass. She's awesome. She always wins.
I think we have to wrap it up. My grandmother once taught one of my sisters to bake a cake, and she did it, and it was not good in the end. When we ate, I mean, it was not good, the aspect of it, the look of it, but the cake was good. And she was trying to explain to my grandmother, I did this and then that and then that. And my grandmother just said, but did you have fun while you were doing it? It's not about how the cake, of course, if the cake gets beautiful and we eat it, it's okay. But it's okay not to eat the cake. You will have another cake. So read books, buy books, but don't forget to be happy while you are doing it, buying or reading the books. Leye, your last words, please.
I cannot improve on those words.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kalaf.